This is a Ford Mustang Mach E. Don't worry, we still have our Tesla. It's right there. But this is Ford's answer to the Tesla Model Y. Marketed as a crossover / SUV vehicle, it's a direct competitor to the Tesla Model Y. Today, we're gonna give you a full review of this Ford Mustang Mach E and see how good it is at competing against the Tesla Model Y. Maybe it's even worth switching from the Model Y to the Mustang. Let's get right into it. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to LockettTech. Today, we are checking out the Ford Mustang Mach E. Now, we rented this off of Turo. This is a 2021 standard Mustang Mach E, and we've had it for a few days now. We even took it on a road trip down to Baltimore, Maryland, and I gotta tell you, after 300 miles on the road with this thing, I feel pretty close and acquainted with it. Definitely enough to give you guys a full review. Before we get into all the details of our review of the Mach E, we need to take one quick minute to thank our amazing channel sponsor, iTrust Capital, for making this all happen. We all know that crypto is the hottest investment that you can make, and iTrust Capital gives you the ability to invest in crypto using tax advantages of IRA accounts. If you have an IRA already, you know typically they're really boring. You can go in, you can select your typical old mutual funds, bonds, savings accounts, and things like that to invest in. Well, with iTrust Capital, they give you the ability to get into the crypto market, and on top of that, they make it super easy to do so as well. Their platform offers no annual membership fees, no setup fee. It's super easy to get going on the iTrust Capital platform. And to make things even sweeter for you guys, they are gonna hook you guys up with $100 for free. Literally, all you have to do is go to itrustcapital.com/Lockett, LOCKETT, set up your account, and then they will automatically deposit a $100 credit into your account. It's literally that simple. This is the way to go to invest not only in your retirement and your future, but to get into the action of the crypto market as well. Thank you so much to iTrust Capital for being a sponsor of this video. So before we jump into the full review, let's roll that beautiful B-roll montage. So let's start with the front end of this car. It's really cool and it looks really nice. The front end of the Mustang looks pretty awesome. They went with the whole grille-less design on the front end. I love how the Mustang badging is prominent right in the front. It looks awesome. The headlights, I think, look great as well. They are definitely very aggressive looking. This thing looks pretty good from the front end. I like it a lot. Now, to get into the frunk, you actually access it from right here. You pull that, which is actually pretty big, I gotta say. The frunk is a pretty decent size. Now, it comes with these dividers here, but this easily does come out. It's actually only held on by these two clips right here, so that can easily come out. It's actually pretty big. I don't think it's as big as the Model Y, but it is pretty big overall, and it's pretty deep. Now, over here on the driver's side, this is actually where you access the charge port to charge it up. It just flaps open like a normal gas tank. And then here, the normal standard adapter right here with a flip down to go to the combo if you wanted to go ahead and charge up at faster CCS speeds. You got your beautiful Mach E badging down on the bottom. Ford has decided to design the most aerodynamic vehicle on the entire planet Earth, and they figured the best way to do that is to just get rid of door handles altogether. Just get rid of them, you'll see there is absolutely not a single door handle on the front or the back. Instead, they went with this push button open design. There's a little circle right here. You press that and then the door opens, and then there's this little clip that's right here that you use to grab and actually pull the door open. You literally just push the button in, and then it kind of pops open a little bit, and you grab the clip here, and then you can pop the door open. It's really simple. It's really easy. If you have no idea how to do it, you're going to stare at the car for about 10 minutes and try and figure out how to get in. The back seat is even more confusing for those that are unaware. Again, it's another button right there, but there is no handle. There's no little clip here that you can grab onto. Instead, when you push it, it actually spring loads and pops out a little bit, and then you can grab this little corner right here and pull it out. So you press the button and it just kind of pops out itself, and then you can just grab it and pull it the rest of the way. All right, moving back around the car, you have the rear spoiler on the top of the trunk right back here. It has the awesome 3-light Mustang LED system back here. It looks awesome. It's that same style, more Mustang badging. They definitely wanted to make sure everybody knew who was looking at this thing knew that this was a Mustang. The back actually does look pretty aggressive, especially for kind of a crossover SUV. I like the slope design that they went with that upper spoiler on the top. I actually think it looks really, really good. The car comes with 18-inch wheels, nothing fancy about it, pretty standard, no aero cap or anything like that on them. Calipers right there, and that's the exterior of the car, which again, I think it looks pretty good overall. So let's go ahead and jump in the car. You have these really cool designed seats with this stitching that I think actually looks pretty cool. It's a pretty neat design that they went with. They went with like that silver accent across the entire dash here, which looks pretty neat. And of course, more Mustang badging right here. I'm telling you, the one thing that you will not miss is Mustang badging. So when we come inside the car, you're greeted by this gigantic screen right here that's really huge. Basically, the same size monitor that you have in the Tesla Model Y, but has horizontally laid out as opposed to laid out in the landscape form that you have in the Tesla Model Y. This little wheel down here, this is the volume control on how you can turn up the radio, but it's like built onto the screen. Like there's no gap right there. And in the middle of it, that's the screen right there, the on-off button. Like when you touch it, you're touching the screen. I don't know how they did it, but it's actually kind of cool. I actually kind of like that. Laid out display right here that runs Ford Sync system. You have the power on and off button. Yes, you do have to push a button to turn it on, and you also have to push that button to turn it off. I cannot tell you how many times I walked out of the car and was out of the car for a good 10 minutes and I totally forgot to turn it off because I just assumed that it would know. It doesn't. You have to turn it off. You have a display right here, the normal speedometer display. Usually in the middle, it'll show you what your speed is. If you're in the middle of a route, if you're driving, it'll give you directions over here. And then it shows you your battery display over here on the left. The steering wheel itself is a nice, comfortable steering wheel. This has got a lot of padding on it. It's really nice and soft to the touch, actually. And again, there's more of that Mustang badging. I actually love the design that they went with here. It's kind of like the black on black. This looks really, really nice. You have all your controls over here around cruise control and lane assist. On this side, you have your system controls to adjust volume, to move the channels up and down, telephone controls. It's kind of your normal laid out steering wheel in terms of where everything is. One other thing I want to point out, and I don't really understand why Ford did this, the airflow control knob for this vent right here, it's literally behind the screen. That's straight on. You can't see it because it's literally behind the screen. You have to like reach behind the screen to run. I don't know why in the world they would do that. What, Ford? What were you thinking? Like, oh, we just throw it behind there. They'll eventually see it. I don't understand that at all. Center console is pretty basic. This is your main area here. This is the shifter, park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then there's a low function. And then this is your parking brake and hazard as well. 2 cup holders right here. And then this is just kind of an area to put your phone down. This is supposed to charge, like it has the little symbol on there that it's supposed to charge your phone. I tried it, it wasn't charging my phone, so I don't really know what's up with that. And then in the very back, you have a USB-C and USB-A port, one of each, kind of nice to include both. And then this is your door handle to get out. You just kind of grab it and you pull back and it disengages the door so you can go ahead and push it and open it up. It's kind of cool. It's a pretty intuitive place to put it. here in the back seat, you have the same seats with the same stitching here, that same highlighted stitching pattern throughout the back, which is kind of cool, kind of nice. In the center, you have this thing. It slides down for cup holding and armrest pleasure for the two people back here if you only have two. It does have seat belts if you want to put a third person there, because this is a 5-seater. And then over here, you have your vent control right there, as well as two more USB ports. Again, one of each. The doors have the same clip release for the door to get out, window control, and then there's a little cubby down there. So this is me in here in the back seat, guys. I mean, as you guys know, I'm a pretty big dude. I'm not exactly a little person like Michelle or the kids, and I have a fair amount of space to work with here. I mean, you guys can see I have a lot of room here between the driver's seat and my knees. The driver's seat is in the same position that I've been driving with. It's pretty spacious back here, actually. I'd have no problem riding back here as an adult. It's pretty spacious. There's a good amount of room. I mean, look at this. That's a lot of room. This is probably one of the more generous second rows that I've seen. I actually do think there's more room in this second row than there is in the second row of the Tesla Model Y. Let's take a look at the trunk. Now, this model that I'm using, the standard, does not have the automatic open and close rear trunk, but this is what you're looking at, trunk space. It's pretty good. It's definitely not as much trunk space as what you get in the Model Y, but this is pretty good overall. You don't have as much height space as you would in a traditional SUV, but you still have a fair amount of space. Back here, they kind of went with a little cubby system, kind of like the Tesla. However, it's like, I don't really know why they bothered with it, because it is so small. Like, I can fit my drone. I can't even fit my drone case in there, and this is a DJI Mavic Mini, so like, there's really not a lot of space. You can put a water bottle. That's about actually all you can fit if you look at it. This is a standard water bottle, and that's about how big it is. And there is a sub trunk. You go ahead and flip this up, and then it actually has these little clips back here that hold the sub trunk floor up. There's a little bit of space down here, not very much. It rests right here, so I mean, you have a little bit of space where you can, I don't know, maybe put a briefcase might fit there. I don't really know. And then you have the space kind of here where I think the wall charger would normally be. The owner of this vehicle that we rented it from off of Turo kind of keeps their cleaning kit in here. It looks like it also comes with a little air compressor for flat tires. That's actually a really nice addition on there. And then back here you have another 12-volt charger right there. Now let's talk about the driving experience and how it's been having this car. You're definitely not going to want to miss the road trip video that's going to be coming out in about like 2 weeks. Tyler and I took this on a 300-mile round-trip road trip down to Baltimore, Maryland for a soccer tournament that he had. And let's just say there were many moments that I kind of freaked out. There was some serious range anxiety going on here when we initially took off with this thing. So you're definitely not going to want to miss that video. Make sure to subscribe below if you haven't already to the channel. There are some things about this that I like, and there are some things about this that I don't like. First of all, when you get into it, it does feel a lot more like a typical average car. It doesn't give you that same, oh wow, this is really like amazing technology, this is something new and different that you get in the Tesla. This feels more like I'm in a normal car. It's just kind of laid out that way. I mean, I have a power on off button, I have a gear shift knob. It looks like a normal car, which is fine. And for many people, I'm sure that's kind of a reassuring feature. But if you're looking for like that new futuristic look, you're definitely not going to get that in this. It's not like it's a bad feeling. It's just kind of like being in a regular car. But there is a lot of storage space to store lots of different stuff. I mean, you have the space under the armrest. There is a little bit of a cubby hole underneath that mat as well. I mean, you have the glove box, you have the side compartments. There's lots of storage. The frunk is really nice. I do really like the dividers in the frunk. I wish that we had that for the Tesla. I mean, all in all, it's a nice interior. It really is. I will say the seats are definitely not as comfortable as our Model Y. Tyler and I learned that on our trip as well. After sitting in these seats for an extended period of time, I really missed like the soft cloud seats that we have of our Tesla. These start to kind of feel a little hard and rigid after a long period of time. They're fine for shorter trips, but definitely not as soft of a seat as the Model Y. Overall, though, it's a very nice and a smooth ride. It is a very smooth ride. The Tesla Model Y has taken a lot of grief about the fact that it has kind of a rigid suspension, and it doesn't really have kind of that luxury feel that most other luxury cars in that price category has. This definitely isn't that way. It's not a sport suspension. It's a nice smooth ride. When you go over bumps, you don't really feel them. It rides very, very nicely. When you drive it, it has that normal electric boost that you get right away. The 0 to 60 on this model in particular, the standard model, is about 5 seconds even. If you go up to the premium model, that does come down. I believe it's right around 4.5 seconds, somewhere around there. And then if you go with the GT, that does come down in like the 3.5 range. This one at 5, it definitely isn't as fast as the Model Y, and you realize that when you smash the accelerator, but it definitely gets that immediate instant power and you go. Now let's talk about some of the things that I found driving this thing that I both like and dislike. I'm not a big fan that Ford used the Mustang name and the Mustang reputation on this car. This is not a Mustang. When I think of Mustang, I think of awesome hot rod, a great, small, fast car. This is a crossover SUV that's all electric. Now, I understand completely why Ford used the Mustang name for this car. When they released it, it was their first all-electric vehicle, and they wanted to attach it to a brand that was tried and true, that wasn't like a brand new thing that people didn't already have trust in. People have trust in the Mustang, which is why they did it. It gave people kind of that safe feeling. But I feel like they're devaluing the Mustang brand by putting all the Mustang badging on it and attaching this vehicle to that brand Mustang. The infotainment system on in this car uses Ford's Sync system. Ford Sync has been around for a very, very long time, and honestly, in the early stages, I wasn't a big fan of it, but it has gotten better in its different reiterations over the years. This latest version of Ford Sync is definitely the best version I have seen. I still have some issues with it. I still think that they need to refine it a little more, especially in a vehicle that relies on that infotainment system so much, but it's definitely getting better. Now, areas where they need to improve it is, first of all, there's not a lot of entertainment options. So when you're stopping and you're charging, which I found in this, you're charging for a lot longer period of time than you are in a Tesla. There's not a lot of things to do to entertain yourself unless you're using your phone. There's 2 games and a kind of draw feature that you can do, but that's not really going to entertain. I really wish that they had an option to stream some Netflix or some YouTube or something like that, because that will provide good entertainment. There are some things I do like about the Ford Sync system, though, in the way they have this set up. First of all, it's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Tesla, I've said it before, don't know what you're waiting for, but you're really missing out by not offering those services. And I like how you can kind of multitask, and that you're not just putting all your eggs in one basket when you pop something up on the main screen. For example, during the road trip, I was able to use Ford Sync's navigation system. I wanted to use that because then it bakes in where I need to stop to charge up and things like that. And the directions showed up on the speedometer right up here, right in front of me. But as far as what I kept on the screen, I was able to open up my CarPlay and keep my Waze app up here. So I can see if there were any emergencies coming up or any police or things like that. That's a nice touch. I was really a big fan of that. I loved it. I thought that was awesome. Ford did a great job with kind of it allowing you to kind of multitask within their infotainment system. I thought that was really cool. I do like the graphic where it shows you a breakdown of where all the power is going. And what I have found is that about 20% or so of the battery is being used on climate control, which I actually thought was a lot. That seems a little high to me that much would be used for that. But I do think it's kind of cool that it has a graphic that shows you some of that stuff. It's pretty easy to use and to navigate as well. You literally just tap the Mustang icon and then it kind of brings up a lot of the details. You can switch your drive mode here. There's Whisper, which is like the most efficient. There's Engage, which is your standard, and then Unbridled, which is like your sport mode. You have the option to turn on and off one pedal driving, which is kind of cool. This, what is the purpose of propulsion sound? Do we really need to pipe in absolutely stupid and ridiculous engine sounds into an electric car? I don't like it at all. In the least. Shows you exactly where you are, where I am right here. I'm at 68%, things like that. The climate controls are always down here. That's kind of a steady on. Now let's talk about the battery. So this version, the standard version, this is a 2021 model, and it's got about 5,100 miles on it. So this is still pretty new. The normal standard Mustang Mach-E, if you were to go buy one in 2022, it's going to give you about 230 miles of range. Now, that's going to cost about right around $46,000. And like I said, you're going to get about a total of 230 miles of range. Now, when I picked up this car, it said it was at 100% fully charged battery, and it was showing me range of 197 miles. I didn't really understand that. That's a lot less. And given that it's only got 5,100 miles on it, battery degradation shouldn't be that low. So I'm not sure what's up with that. If you're in the market to get a Mach-E, don't buy the standard model with the smaller range. I had range anxiety the entire road trip. You stop all the time to charge up. The third-party networks are only letting you charge up to 80%. Beyond 80%, it cripples the charge rate, and then you're there like all night long. So you're really only able to charge up to 80%, which is only giving you about 140, 150 miles to work with. That's not a lot. You're stopping all the time if you get the standard range. Now, if you don't ever plan on doing a road trip in the car, you're literally only buying it to drive to work and maybe drive the kids to school, and that's the only thing you're ever going to do with this, okay, at that point, maybe you're okay. But if you ever plan on taking a family road trip or taking the vehicle anywhere other than just around town, do not get the standard range. I literally did feel like I had range anxiety our entire road trip. I'm not really that big of a fan of the third-party non-Tesla charge network. First of all, at least where we are in southeastern Pennsylvania, there's not a lot of options in terms of fast charging. Everything is AC charging, which is insanely slow. I mean, most of the chargers around us are all offering speeds of only like 7 kilowatts an hour. I'll be there all night charging like that. The charging network, especially the fast charging network, is extremely small, at least around us. Now, on the trip, it was able to find some fast chargers for us. Typically, that was all at Electrify Americas, and it was usually at like a Wawa or a Walmart, but even that wasn't all that great. The first two times we stopped and we plugged into a 350 kilowatt per hour charger, which meant we should have been charging at pretty good speeds. We were only charging at a max of 61 kilowatts per hour, which I didn't understand at all why we were charging so slow. When we charged on the way back, we stopped and this time I plugged into a 150 kilowatt hour Electrify America charger, and we charged at 71 kilowatts per hour. Now, when I plugged into that one, we were at about 19%, and we still charged considerably slower than what the potential output is. I don't know if that's a limitation in the Mustang or if it's a limitation in the third-party chargers, but I wasn't a big fan at how slow this thing charges up. Last night, I needed to go out to a charger around my house. Well, there was only like 2 options for DC charging at faster than 7 kilowatts an hour, and I went to an EV Go that was nearby, and I was charging at 30 kilowatts an hour. That's not fast charging. It literally took us an hour to charge up about 35%. That's not impressive, especially when you compare it to what you can charge at on the Tesla supercharger network. I will say the stops that we made with Electrify America, everything was operational. All of the units were all in working order. However, I will say on our last stop in Wilmington, Delaware at a Wawa, the touchscreen was completely broken. So like I couldn't enter my phone number in to get the receipt. I couldn't even hit the button on the screen to stop it. The touchscreen was completely busted. I do say I feel a little bit better about the Electrify American network, at least by us on the East Coast, but EVgo, very unimpressed with charge point, seems to always be down. Now, one thing I will say that was a plus of using those networks, it was kind of cool stopping and seeing all the different EVs that are out there because everybody's plugging into that network. We saw VW ID4s, we saw the brand new Volvo EV, we saw a couple Leafs, we saw another Mustang, we saw an Audi e-tron, we saw all sorts of different EVs, and it was kind of cool to see them all and talk to the different owners at the stops. The mileage predictions of capacity on this car is pretty solid. It's pretty spot on. I gotta say, it is way better and way more accurate than what Tesla provides in terms of when it gives you that mileage range that you have left. I found it to be pretty spot on. When you arrive at the charger, you're gonna have 30 miles of range left. When we arrived at the charger, we had about 30 miles of range left. And I drove how I normally drive, which, I'm not exactly driving exactly the speed limit. I keep moving along with traffic. And in a Tesla, that usually kills the range predictions. And we always arrive with far less mileage than what we're predicted when we first start the trip. This actually held pretty true. I was pretty impressed with that overall. One pedal driving was pretty good. It's definitely not as good as regen braking on the Tesla. The lane assist, it was much better than I expected it to be. Definitely not as good as Tesla's autopilot. It had us it uses all of the lane. I feel like in Tesla, it puts you in the middle and you just cruise in the middle. With this, it you tend to go to both sides of the lane at different times. And on the way home, we were actually driving in a lot of high winds. It was kind of aggressive with how it was trying to auto correct for that. So I ended up having to turn it off for most of the trip back. But I will say overall, it's pretty good. The adaptive cruise control is spot on and fantastic. Way smoother on stopping in traffic and things like that than it is in the Tesla. All in all, that part of it was spot on too.
Why are you capturing me? I'm not in this video.
Look who joined us. So Michelle wasn't with us on our trip, but we drove around. She accompanied me last night when we went out on that charge adventure that I told you about that took us like an hour to get like 30-some%. Yeah, but you did kind of get to ride in it. What are your thoughts of it?
I think it's a really comfortable ride. I think the screen is super easy to use. The biggest flaw, I think, is the charging. That was really eye-opening, that there's no charger by us. And then when we were there, I felt bad. Another Mach E was pulling in and they had nowhere to charge. So then they had to go out, and I have no idea where they were going to go find another charger. That's
the biggest issue I find in this thing. So the standard range version, which is supposed to give you up to 230 miles of range, that costs about $46,000. So it's actually a good bit cheaper than the Model Y. To get adequate range, which would be the premium version, and that'll give you around 300 miles of range. It's a little bit shorter than the long range on the Model Y. Now your price tag jumps up to just under $55,000, which again, it's still a little bit cheaper than the Model Y, because the Model Y right now is about $64,000 as of the moment of this video for the long range Model Y.
It would be really difficult without a charger around.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you live in an environment where there's a lot of those chargers around and they're well kept and maintained, then okay, yeah, I can see it. But I'm sorry, I don't understand the purpose of the AC charging units. Why do I want to go someplace and charge 7 kilowatts per hour? Like, that's great if...
Be there for hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine if my apartment complex is right next to it and I'm leaving it plugged in all night long. But
Giant parking lot? Like, there's one at the Giant.
Yeah. All in all, look, if you're interested in getting a Mach E and you don't want to go the route of Tesla, you don't want to join the Tesla cult, I understand it. This is a nice EV. It rides really nice. Definitely get the premium version with more range. Don't get the standard. But all in all, the technology is really good. The Ford Sync system is tried and true. It's been around for years. Ford has done a great job perfecting it overall. It offers a lot of space. It's got a lot of room for a 5-seater. Like I said, that second row is super spacious. There's lots of room in here. You missed when we looked at the frunk. There's dividers in the frunk. Ooh. That's really neat. We'll show her in a minute. This gets my vote of approval. This is a really nice car. If I was looking for a non-Tesla, I would recommend it. I think it's a very nice car. Ford, you make a really nice car, and I'm really excited to check out your Lightning, but I couldn't recommend this over the Tesla. Ultimately, really what it all boils down to is charging network. Just kind of seals the deal.
That's right.
Tesla charging network is hands down amazing. It's reliable. It's a lot more affordable too. I mean, Electrify America was 43 cents per kilowatt hour everywhere. Tesla on average is about 19 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, some areas may be a little bit more expensive, but on average, that's what you'll pay. So it's a lot more affordable. It's just the Tesla charging network. I mean, we've said it before in a previous video. It's unbeatable. It's a great car. I give it a full thumbs up, especially if you're looking for something that is non-Tesla related. Ford, you did a great job with it. Thanks as always for watching, guys. If you found this video helpful at all, please make sure to chuck a like on the video and make sure to subscribe too if you haven't already. Like I said, we have that great road trip video in the Mach E coming up. You don't want to miss that. It is, if nothing else, extremely entertaining. Trust me, guys. Plus, we've got all sorts of reviews that are going to be coming out this year on all the different EVs. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you in another one real soon.